What is up, everybody? Welcome back to racingnews.com. Welcome back to another one of our videos. Well, if you liked kind of the weekend recap videos, this is going to replace it for now up through the Breeders' Cup. Kind of a Breeders' Cup update slash weekend recap a little bit as well. Kind of mix them in together. Kind of wanted a Breeders' Cup theme it, so to speak, as we kind of get closer. Because, yeah, as you know, September and October are all kind of races leading up to the Breeders' Cup. With prep races and stuff like that. So I just wanted to talk about a few of the divisions today. We'll go through more as we get going here and as we get closer. I'll put up the Breeders' Cup page up on the screen. This is a Breeders' Cup website. So you can go here and you can click on contenders, and then there's like a drop-down menu right here where you can go and look at all the current kind of contenders the Breeders' Cup have listed. I'm not going to go over like the juvenile races, and I'm not going to go over many of the turf races, well, any of them on this video. I'm going to wait for the juvenile races and the turf races for this Breeders' Cup kind of news and update video that we do every week. When we get a little bit closer and we actually kind of know, because as you know, the turf races very dependent on European runners, and you never really know about them until we get closer to the Cup itself. And the juvenile races, I mean, I love the 2-year-old racing, even early, the early ones that we've had. As far as the Breeders' Cup goes, we need to see him go longer, right? So when races like this week's Iroquois runs, and then the Champagne, the Breeders' Futurity, the American Pharaoh out at Santa Anita, races like that, then I'll get to talking about those. But let's talk about the Classic. Let's talk about the Classic and then the Distaff and the Sprint for this video. Just kind of going to go over who they have listed right now on the Breeders' Cup website. Sovereignty, Sierra Leone, Mindframe, Journalism, NISOs, Forever Young, Fierceness, Baeza, Highland Falls, Antiquarian, Banishing, Surface to Air, and Full Serrano. Those are kind of the horses they have listed right now. And that's probably what you're going to see. Of course, Sovereignty training up to the Breeders' Cup Classic. Same with Sierra Leone. Sounds like Mindframe might just, train up to the Classic as well after, losing the rider in the Jockey Club. Journalism, a horse after second in the Pacific Classic, probably going to train up to it. Nisos, update on him. They're still saying it was a minor foot injury. The Goodwood at Santa Anita seems to be where they're going to target this horse. They kind of mentioned the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile as well, so I think he's very iffy to be in this race. Forever Young, he's kind of back. He's going to run one race in Japan and then come over, so it sounds like he is going to be here. Everything's kind of a go for him. Fierceness going to train up to the Classic after that huge win in the Pacific Classic. Very, very impressive. Baeza, we'll see him next week in the Pennsylvania Derby, and then we'll see. Also in the Pennsylvania Derby is going to be Gosker and going to be goal-oriented amongst a few others, obviously. So, okay, Baeza, definitely a classic horse. I get it. If he loses, maybe the winner of that Pennsylvania Derby will be on this list. So that's one to kind of keep an eye on. Highland Falls, Antiquarian, 2 horses coming out of that Jockey Club, going to train up to it, I'm imagining. Banishing, I don't know why he's on this list. If you're going to go somewhere, go to the Sprint or the Dirt Mile with Banishing, in my opinion. He is on the list. I don't know where he's going to run again. So that's very interesting. Surface to Air. If you don't know this horse, that's a horse that beat the big Brad Cox favorites back-to-back races out at Monmouth. So he's in the list here, and we'll see what he does. And then Full Serrano, a horse that was able to win the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile last time. He came back first race off the Dirt Mile, ran in an allowance race there at Del Mar, and looked sharp, really sharp. So we'll see what he does. He may go back to the Dirt Mile. He may go to the Classic. But that's kind of what you're looking at right now. And again, there's not a ton to kind of sort out. Full Serrano, I think, is one. Baeza, what he does is one. And then Nisos. Everything else kind of seems set pending some kind of injury. So I'm kind of looking. I think Sovereignty is going to be about 9-5 in this field. That's what I would look at. And then second choice, maybe it's Fierceness 3-1. Maybe it's like Sierra Leone next 4-1 type of thing. That's kind of what I'm looking at. I think everybody else is 6-1 or higher. And that's based on what we're seeing right now, the current field. All right, let's go to the Breeders' Cup Distaff here. We have Torpedo Anna, of course, a nice win last time out. Seismic Beauty, also a nice win last time out in Breeders' Cup. Winning your in races for Torpedo Anna there in the personal incident, Saratoga. Seismic Beauty, super impressive, I thought, in the Clement L. Hirsch there at Del Mar. Darth Vader nearly got the job done, nearly won against Torpedo Anna last time out in the personal incident. Sarwalk Rim, don't know anything about that horse, to be quite honest with you. Nitrogen, of course, the 3-year-old that just won the Alabama. Scottish Lassie, she's a pretty impressive winner last time out in her own right in the coaching club, American Oaks. Almond Joy, California bred, maybe going to take a try at it. Dry Powder, Alice Verdi, and Awesome Result. Those are your other horses. So you can kind of tell they right now only have 10, probables or contenders or however you want to call it. And that list is ever changing. Like we sit here September 9th doing this video. You don't know, but you can kind of tell we're a little light, aren't we? And Torpedo Anna and Darth Vader, obviously two very good horses. We got Nitrogen, we know, and Scottish Lassie, throw them their best races will be tough. The Baffert, kind of Seismic Beauty, and then it's a lot of filler, really, in my opinion. So can Torpedo Anna make it back to back? Last year, if you remember, the field wasn't very strong. We had a horse scratch out of it, and it's just kind of like, they gave it to her a little bit on the front end, and it was over. I don't, you can't really say it's easy because Darth Vader and her really threw down, and if that, you've got Seismic Beauty as well, but Torpedo Anna is probably going to be a big favorite here, probably about 4 to 5, or maybe 6 to 5 with the Baffert runner, Seismic Beauty, running that big buyer. But I mean, if you think you can play against her, I think you're going to get a price once again this year. Now, hey, it's hard to beat her. There hasn't been many times you've been able to beat her if you're betting against her. But this could be a spot where, there are some decent horses out there. Darth Vader nearly got it done last time out. Seismic Beauty looked really, really good right here on this track, and you're going to have to run her down. I don't see a ton of other speed. That's one that could be dangerous. Nitrogen's developing. So we'll see what happens here in the Distaff, but Torpedo Anna looks to be a big favorite once again. And then finally, we'll go to the Breeders' Cup Sprint. I really want to talk about this one. There's only 4 contenders listed, so there will be a lot more, obviously, here. But I think the big story in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, if you saw the comments from the connections right after Bookham Dano, who was very impressive once again and won the Forgo on Traverse Day, they said, we're not sure about the Breeders' Cup. We may, we don't really want to ship them to California. We may do something different. That's interesting because to me, he's far and away kind of the leader in this division. He's been super impressive. He's beaten horses that have come back to look super impressive as well. If they don't send him, this becomes a real scramble. Like I said, the only other ones listed even right now, Lovesick Blues, who won the Bing Crosby, which was the winning you're in there at Del Mar for this one. You do have Straight No Chaser. We haven't seen this horse in a long time, but won the race last year. I think the 3-year-olds become extremely, extremely interesting, and you'd better take a look at them if Bookham Dano, and maybe even some of those horses Bookham Dano has been defeating, if they don't show up. A horse like Patch Adams makes a ton of sense to me in this spot. If you remember, year in and year out, it is extremely difficult to go gate to wire in the sprint. Very, very tough. Patch Adams can sit off. So can Bookham Dano. So, I look at Patch Adams and the way he races, and I think it really fits the sprint pretty well. He's been very good. So keep an eye on him. I got to think other 3-year-olds. Captain Cook, the horse that ran second behind Patch Adams, almost got the job done last time out in the Allen Jerkins. Maybe he's one that should be pointing for this race as well and will be pointing for this race. There's going to be more. This will be a 12-horse field. I can almost guarantee it, especially if Bookham Dano doesn't come over for this race. It's going to be wide open. So those are kind of the look at 3 race I want to talk about here. This is just a starting off point. As we go on and kind of what I'm going to do is like this weekend, for example, we got a big race at Woodbine for the Breeders' Cup mile, which is, the turf mile. You got big races at Woodbine, also prepping for the juvenile turf races, right? So each week as we kind of have the feature races, what they mean for the divisions, I will go over those horses, right, as we go. So the Iroquois and the Pocahontas. So we'll talk about the juveniles a little bit more next week. So this is kind of just a kicking off point. Here's the 3 big divisions, what it looks like now. And as we go on, we'll kind of look at the other divisions as they're relevant week to week versus the prep races that we're seeing. So that's how we're going to do it. All right, guys. That'll do it for our first Breeders' Cup news and update video. We'll be back in each and every week until the Breeders' Cup to get you going on it. So thanks, everybody, for watching, and we will see you next week for more Breeders' Cup news.